Hello, it's October and it's nearly coming close to Spooky Ookie Day, aka Halloween. And for a Halloween video, I thought of reading a creepypasta story that I have recently come across. Now, I'm not planning on making Halloween creepypasta videos, but I thought screw it, let's just read this one just for Halloween at one time. I am pretty sure many people know what creepypastas are, but for the latter few, creepypastas are scary stories that have been around for a long shot. These can be about urban legends like Slenderman and Siren Head, popular ones like Jeff the Killer, Smile Dog and Candle Cove, and also lost episode stories like Max and Ruby 004 or Red Mist from SpongeBob. There are thousands of them based on stuff like video games, TV shows and books, expanding a huge community of fan arts, fan games and so on. I'm also going to put out a disclaimer at the start of this video and mention it now that the story we're going to look at has some stuff like swearing and mention of death, so if you're sensitive to topics like that, I would highly recommend not to watch the video for your own sake. This creepypasta we are going to read is a Tweenies one called Jake's Madness. I do not know who created the story, all I know is it's up on a creepypasta Wikipedia page, so I'm going to say credit to the original creator. I'll put a link to it in the description if you want to read it in your own time. The original story I was going to read was a Bob the Builder creepypasta called Dizzy's Insanity, which is basically about Dizzy murdering half of the town folk and her friends, using stuff like knives and guns, but like, how can a cement mixer be able to hold any weapons like that? It would be impossible. It also has something about Dizzy in court which is quite random but also funny in the end. It has mention of an infamous person and something about the war, which I personally don't want to read about, so without further ado, it's time to read this Tweenies Creepypasta. Many know the feeling of isolation, many know the feeling of dread, and others know the feeling of anger and anxiety. Some feel all and some feel a few whilst others feel nothing. Seriously, what am I talking about? Well, a backstory is in order. It was 8 months ago when my best friend watched a Teletubbies lost episode called Bolts. I gave him paranoia and amnesia, resulting in him going into a medically induced coma, which he has not came out of. I had to take over his job and he was in a coma and had bills to pay, along with my own. The company he worked for is a lost media retrievement centre that focuses on finding rare media like Jesus Christ Superstar and the 100 plus lost episodes of Doctor Who. But what does that have to do with the Tweenies? Well, he and I worked on the children's department looking for lost episodes of children's shows such as Bob the Builder and Postman Pat. However, as of recent, they have received a lot of DVDs of baby shows like the Teletubbies and Baby Jake. On the day of the incident, I got a DVD on the desk. It was a Teletubbies DVD. However, I turned it down thinking it was a similar DVD to the one that gave my friend a coma, so I just gave it to my co-worker John. About 5 minutes later, a package arrived on my desk. It was a VHS tape of the Tweenies that no one had ever seen before. The tape was called Tweenies Going Mad. I thought that was a weird name for a Tweenies tape, but I wrote it off as unplaying. The plastic shell had a yellow background with a UBBFC rating on the box, showing the Tweenies playing with their hands. I was interested, so I put the tape into a nearby VCI. For tech nerds, it was a Sony SLV N750 from the year 2004. I put the tape into the VCR and pressed play. The tape was divided into 4 sections, one about each Tweenie: Milo, Fizz, Bella and Jake. Milo, Fizz and Bella's sections went well and had no issues. The video quality was better than most VHS tapes I've seen, probably because the tape was only played a few times and the VCR was from 2004. But then Jake's madness began, and I wish I'd stopped the tape here as I disliked Jake due to him being annoying, but no. So the episode began with the intro skipped as the intro played at the beginning of the tape, and then the title card showing up, Jake's Madness. I felt creeped out by this, but I kept going. The first scene comprised of the Tweenies singing Do You Know the Muffin Man. The scene was normal and went well, but the rest of the episode is just creepy. The next scene shows Milo and Fizz playing in the playhouse, talking about a football match in a castle, and Milo winning then showed him get ignited by Fizz. Bella was playing on the slide with Jake. Bella and Jake went down together and laughed, but then something I couldn't explain happened. Jake saw a man in black. You couldn't see a thing other than he was wearing a hat. He then went over to Jake and asked in a deep scary voice, "Hello Jake, do you like your death slow or quick?" Jake didn't know about death, so he just guessed slow. He responded with, "Slow please." The man shook Jake's neck and he was wheezing until he felt unconscious. When he was unconscious, the man placed liquid acid down his throat with cocaine inside. How did I know it was cocaine? Well, it said on the bottle. The next scene showed Jake screaming in immense pain whilst the others were playing musical chairs. The Tweenies, along with Max and Judy, came over to see if Jake was alright. He then stated, "Death is forever and I will die," in a deep angry voice, "But not before all you die." He then roared like a demon and proceeded to suck Bella's soul out, turning her into a black ooze. Fizz and Milo screamed and cried whilst Max and Judy were trying to hold back tears, trying to get them to run. But it was too late. It then showed Judy and Milo getting strangled to death. Milo and Jake then started to pin Fizz to the wall, whilst Jake was pouring bleach down her throat, causing her to scream and vomit profusely. I had to urge to vomit, but I held it back. Max had to call the police on a phone on the wall, but not before Max was tortured to death and his utensils were eaten. Milo was then killed by Jake as he set the playgroup on fire. He was physically melting and had minutes to live. He then made inhuman voices and was screaming until he was a black puddle on the floor. The final scene started with the police arriving to find a building on fire and black ooze, when suddenly the black figure appeared with a knife stating, "You pigs tried to arrest me on many occasions but have failed, and this time is no different." He then went back to the black puddle and began to drink the ooze and killed the police officers as he was dying on the floor. The last shot of the episode showed a national headline saying, "Man dressed in black dies after being responsible for 12 deaths. It then showed Jake waking up crying saying, "It was a dream." After that, the end credits played from the tape. What have I just seen? I asked myself in confusion and shock. Afterwards, I uploaded the files to my computer and could only get screenshots due to the nature of the company. After that, I left and never came back to the job. I wanted to find out more about why the tape was made and why the non-creepy episodes weren't released. I contacted the workers from the BBC and Telltale to ask what had happened. They said, "To Matthew, thank you for taking your time to watch a VHS tape of the Tweenies that we have wanted to hide, but an explanation is due. Back in 2002, the production of the Tweenies was wrapping to a close and we wanted a laugh, so we made this as a sick joke. All I remember was this was when we were all drunk on beer and had been tired, so we thought it would be funny to make an April Fool joke to play on CBeebies, and we hoped to smash up the tape afterwards, but apparently we smashed up the wrong one. I'm really sorry, but this was what alcohol does." From Dominion. That explanation left me with one question. Why did they get drunk in the first place? And why did they want to prank a 2-month-old network with new stuff scaring them for life? But there is one more question. Why was the tape in my hands? Oh, and like other posts, I can't release more than screenshots due to company policy. Okay, and that's been a read of the Tweenies Creepypasta, Jake's Madness. My thoughts, it's a pretty decent story. It does have some questions though, like who was the guy dressed in black and what did they offer do with the tape afterwards. And at the end of it, it says, "Oh, unlike the other posts, I can't release more than screenshots due to the company's policy." Wouldn't the BBC likely ask him to either not upload anything from it or destroy it? That's just some thoughts though. I think a bit of a low point near the start was bringing up another lost episode / creepypasta into the story, given a Teletubbies creepypasta called Bolts was mentioned. I don't really think combining or referring to other creepypastas in your own one makes it more like factual, but besides stuff like that, I think it's a decent read through. I'd give it a 6 out of 10. And with that, that's been my overview, reading and review of Tweenies Jake's Madness creepypasta. Thank you for watching. I'll leave a link in the description, like I said, to the original creepypasta's wiki page, and you can read it from there. And that's about it for this video. I'll see you next time.